So you're trying to automate email verification in your test, but don't know where to start? Well, today we're going to tackle this challenge head on. I'll walk you through a detailed guide on how to read and verify email content using Selenium Python. So why is this important? Well, email verification is a crucial step in many user journeys. From signing up for an account to resetting your passwords, automating this process can save you a ton of time and ensure your tests are as thorough as possible. So in just a few minutes, you will learn how to fill out a form and submit it using Selenium, how to wait for and read the latest email in your inbox, how to extract and verify specific elements from the email like your URL and your text. So if you're looking to advance your Selenium Python skills and add value to your test automation suite, you don't want to miss out this video. Also, stick till the end because I will also tell you how you can access the code that we will cover in this video. Now, let's jump on to the prerequisites required for this video. So first off, we need to make sure we're using some kind of test automation framework. Well, in this case, I'm going to be using Selenium Python framework, and we're going to be using specifically the Selenium base framework. Now, if you're not really familiar with Selenium base, I have an entire series covered on that in this channel, and I will add the link for that in the description below for you guys to check it out. But basically, it's essentially a wrapper on top of Selenium Python, which gives you access to some helpful methods and libraries that you can use to quickly write your test. And we'll go over that in a bit. But the whole idea is that you need a framework that you can use in order to follow along with this video. And the next one we're going to do is use some kind of email client. Now here specifically, I'm targeting Gmail as an email client, but this implementation can be done with other email clients as well. The logic might change a little bit, but pretty much if you're using Gmail, you can replace it with something else as well. After that, we're going to need some kind of email library or package. That means we need to be able to connect to that email client. In this case, if I'm using Gmail, I want to be able to connect to Gmail so that I can read emails, fetch emails, and so on. So here I'm going to be using 𝐒𝐓𝐷_tools, which is a Python package that we're going to go ahead and install in our framework. After that, we're going to go ahead, and this one is kind of obvious, we need some kind of IDE to be able to run our test. So here I'm going to be using PyCharm, which is a pretty popular IDE for Python projects. So we're going to use that to go ahead and set up our project. So there you go. So we have our test automation framework. We're going to be using Selenium base. We'll need an email client. I'm using Gmail. We'll need an email library. I will use 𝐒𝐓𝐷_tools. And then we'll need an IDE, which is going to be PyCharm. So far, so good. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is head over to PyCharm, and I'm going to show you an existing script that I've already written so far. And from there, we're going to add in the part where we're going to be reading the emails and pretty much doing the verification. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so I'm over here in PyCharm, and I've already went ahead and added in a basic script, which simply goes ahead, fill out the form, and submits the form. The moment the form is submitted, it sends out an email. What we will be doing in this video is go ahead and read that email and verify the content of that email. I won't really be going into too much detail of how I'm writing the Selenium-based test. Again, this is covered as part of my Selenium-based series. So if you want to learn that, go ahead and check that out. So here I have a basic email verification class, and I've imported Selenium base at the top. Then I'm doing test from submission, created my method, simply opening my URL. From there, I'm filling in my name field, my email field, phone field, message, and then clicking the submit button. Once that is done, I'm verifying that the success message appears. So let me go ahead and run this so that you can understand how this is all working. So let's go ahead and do that. I will click on the play button here, run Python test. There you go. It's opening up the Chrome browser. It's filling out the form, and the form successfully got submitted. And as you can see, we have a success right here. So that's good. Now, the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and check whether that email we received or not. So I'm going to open that up in Chrome. All right, so I'm over here in Chrome, and the email client that's attached to this was Gmail. And here, this is the Gmail account it's connected with. So you can see I have one unread email, and it has my name, 𝐿𝑝𝐿, test contact email. So let's take a look at that. So here I have my name field, the email field, phone number, and also it has a message which says this is the automated test message with the link. So what we will do is we will first verify that we received the email, and then we're going to get the content. Specifically within the content, we're going to check whether this link appears. So think of this as your email verification email, or basically think of this as a confirmation email that you usually receive when you submit your form or you do some kind of registration. So you have to go ahead, get that link, and then basically hit that to really verify that user. So this is what we're going to do. I will click on this. And in this case, this is kind of not really a verification, but I'm just showing you as an example that you might have this verification email, which will give you some kind of all this input parameters right over here. In my case, I'm saying verify equals true, but all it does is opens up my SDET Unicorns website, the homepage of that. So in this case, we'll just go ahead and follow along with the entire flow. And once that is open, I will simply verify, let's say, the title, and that should pretty much cover the entire part of this video. So the main thing is simply being able to go ahead and fetch this email and make sure we are able to read the content and then open the URL, whatever that we are getting in this email. So hopefully you understand what we're going to be doing. So let's go ahead and start with our first step, which is going to be creating our method that will go ahead and read the emails. So let's do that. So I'm back in PyCharm, and here I've already set up a pip file. If I open that up right here. So this pip file has Selenium base currently set up. So we're going to install two more packages. The first one is going to be our IMAP tools, which is going to talk to our Gmail client. And the second one we're going to need is going to be our environment variables. So basically read environment variables. So we need to go ahead and set up Gmail, and we need to add in a test username and test password. So those things should not be hard-coded in your file. It should instead be an environment variable. So we'll add a nice helper library that will allow us to read environment variables. So let's go ahead and install our packages. So I'm going to do pip env install. And the first one we need is IMAP tools. And the second one we need is our python.env package. So I'm going to go ahead and install that as well. So I'll just do python-env. So this will go ahead and automatically install it and add it to my pip file. So let's hit enter. All right, there you go. So it's successfully installed, and you can see IMAP tools and python.env is added to our packages. Perfect. So let's close this out. Now we have all the dependencies that we need in order for us to set up our test. All right, so as you already know, this script will go ahead and submit our form. Now, after the form is submitted, we receive the email. Now, there's some kind of delay between us submitting the form and getting the email. So we will add this hard-coded delay over here within our script. Now, this is not the best mechanism of doing that. Ideally, you want to have some kind of retry mechanism, which will check, hey, whether you received the email or not. If not, it will wait for, let's say, a couple of seconds. For not, just to keep it simple, I will add in some kind of 2-second pause here. So I'll just throw that in here. So I'll just say sleep for 2 seconds. And I can just do self.sleep. And then just add in 2-second sleep over there. That's it. Now let's go ahead and start adding in our script. So the very first thing we're going to do right after this step is check for that email. Now we're going to create a separate file which will take care of verifying our email and whether the email has been received or not. And this will simply call that method. So let's do that. I'm going to add it over here. All right, so we went ahead and basically added in this checkLatest email method. Now, obviously, this isn't really created. I'm simply calling this. But what we will do is add in a new file, call that, let's say, read email. And within that, we will add this method called checkLatest email. So let's do that. So I'm going to do right click, new Python file, and then call this one, let's say, read email. There you go. So that's our new file. Now within this file, we will add in all of our logic that will go ahead and read the email. So let's do that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start off with importing our packages. So first off, let's import the .env package. So here we'll simply do from .env import load.env. Again, we are doing this so that we can store our environment variables in a separate file, which we're going to create shortly. After that, we're going to import our IMAP tools. So within the IMAP tools, we're going to need mailbox, and we will also need this end. And you'll figure out why we need that as well. So after this, we will also import our OS package. Well, this will be required to get our environment variables. Perfect. Now we're going to go ahead and basically call those environment variables. So we can do that by simply loading in our environment file. So we'll do load.env. This will simply go ahead and basically import my env file. Now we haven't really created that env file. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll do right click and just do new file and call this one .env. Let's leave this empty for now. We'll come back and fill this in. Once we have done that, we need to go ahead and read our variables. So here I'm reading my email user and email password. So we will simply add in our username and password in our env file. So what you will do is just add in your email user here, and this will be your username or user email, and then you will add in your email password. And this is going to be your password right here. Now we'll come back to this in a bit. All right, so once we go ahead and read our variables, after that, we will go ahead and create our method, which will pretty much do the email reading verification. So let's go ahead and start doing that. All right, so we've created this new method called checkLatestEmail. Here we're gonna go ahead and now connect to our Gmail's IMAP server. So here you're gonna simply do with mailbox, and we are connecting to the Gmail. So I've added in imap.gmail.com, and this will do .login, which will take in your email user and email password, which is set up pretty much right here. And after that, I'm saying what should be my initial folder, where it should be looking for the email. I'm saying the initial folder should be inbox. And essentially I'm giving it an alias called mailbox. So here we will now go ahead and fetch the latest unread email that is last in the list. So what that means is it will go ahead and look for which one is the unread email. At the very top one is the one it's going to go ahead and pick. So we are doing that by simply calling in mailbox.fetch. And we are adding an additional condition here. We are saying only pick the ones that haven't been read yet. So scene is set to false. That means these are the ones that haven't been read yet. And after that, I'm saying only look for the one. So limit is set to 1 and look for all the way from the top instead of looking at from the bottom. Convert that into a list and basically store it in the emails variable right here. Now, if there is nothing over there, I'm saying, hey, if the length of that emails is 0, then simply return none. That means no emails have been found, right? Obviously, when it tries to fetch that email, if nothing is there, it's simply going to return none. However, if there is an email, since this is a list, it's going to return the first one from that list. All right, so hope that part is clear. Now this code, guys, you will have access to this. Now this is kind of a one-time setup. If you're not that familiar with Python, don't worry. You don't have to really get into all of the details over here. Again, this is just done so that you can understand what you need to do in terms of connecting to IMAP server and getting access to your Gmail and basically being able to fetch all those emails. It's going to be done once. You won't have to look into the script unless you have to go back and make some changes. So this is what we're going to go ahead and implement. This is one way of doing it. Again, there's many different mechanisms that you can go ahead and implement. And I just realized you don't even have to convert this to a list since we're only getting one. But for now, just in case it does return a list, I'm storing it as giving me the first one that you get back from that list. Essentially, we're going to chain this and have multiple emails. We can keep this customizable like this as well. All right, so that's all we're going to do in terms of reading our email. Now let's make sure whether this part is actually working or not by importing this into our main script and essentially verifying whether that works or not. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, the next thing we're going to do is add in our assertion. All right, so this will go ahead and verify my email content and it will store it in this email variable. Now what we will do is add in our assertions to make sure whether this is actually working. So let's go ahead and do that. The very first assertion is simply making sure that in my subject, I have, let's say, 𝐒𝐓𝐻𝐿 being added in over there. So this will simply just do self.assert 𝐒𝐓𝐻𝐿 test contact email is part of my email subject. Now we're not just limited to subject. There's different places we can add in our assertion as well. For example, I can also check my from email. So here I'm saying within the form, I want to make sure it should be @gmail.com. You can be quite specific here if you exactly know which email you're receiving the email from. You can add that as well. But just to keep it generic, I'm saying it should be from a Gmail domain, let's say. Or in your case, it can be your company domain. Now, the next assertion is going to be that, hey, I should see that this is an automated test message. This text is also showing up within the email body. Now here, if you notice, I'm doing email.html. Now, reason being is instead of saying just get the body or the text directly from that, I'm saying in the entire email body that you're getting back, I want to make sure that this text is actually there. So this will simply go ahead and verify for that text. All right, so we went ahead and added a bunch of things over here. Let's try to run this to make sure that this is actually working. Now, obviously, to run this, we want to make sure we have added in our username and password. So that's the piece that we need to figure out how to do that. Well, to add in a username, it's pretty easy. That's just simply going to be your email address. But to add in password with Gmail, you cannot just directly use your actual Gmail password. Instead, you need to create a specific application password. Let me show you what that process looks like. So I'm going to head back to Chrome. Now, in your email client, whenever you come to, let's say, Gmail, you simply have to go to manage account, manage your Google account. From there, you're going to see this kind of screen. So you will have your home, personal info, data privacy, and so on. So go to security. Once you're in the security, just go to two-step verification. Click on that. It might ask you to log in right over here. So let me just log in and come back. All right, so I've successfully logged in. Now here, go all the way at the bottom and click on application passwords. So I'm going to click on that. Now here you're going to see your app passwords. So I have already created 2 of the app password. One is for the Selenium email verify, one is for local Selenium. In your case, to simply create a new app, just add in your app name. Here, for example, I can add app name as demo Selenium email verification. All right, let's ignore the spelling there. So this will give me this app password right here. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to head back to my VS Code, or sorry, my PyCharm. Let's do that. Now in my .env, I'm simply going to paste in my password and I'm going to remove the spaces. So let's remove the spaces right here, here, and right here. And then here I'm going to add in my email as well, which is going to be my email user. So let me just copy and add that in. There you go. So that's my env file. I have added my username, I've added my password. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and try to run our test to make sure whether this works. So to run this, I'm going to go back to main.py and I'm going to simply click on read or run my Python test. So it's going to go ahead, fill out the form, wait 2 seconds to see whether the email is received, and then it's going to verify that email. There you go. So I just ran and you can see test passed 1 of 1. So that means it's successfully working. My test is passing now. Let's head over to Chrome to see whether we received a new email. So let's go back to Chrome. So there you go. We do have a new email received. And the latest one is the one was 0 minutes ago. This is the one that we just generated. So perfect. That means that is working and it's able to read the content from that particular email as well. Now just to verify, I'm just going to kind of delete this so that we have no longer new email. And I'm going to come back over here and simply delete something here, or basically try to fail my test. Instead of saying 𝐒𝐓𝐻𝐒, I'm saying simply just see whether it has 𝐒𝐓𝐻-test contact email. Now clearly this is not there, so it should fail. So let's run this to make sure our test is working as expected. So in this case, I would expect my test to fail. So let's verify that. All right, as you can see, my test is failing now. And if I just scroll down, all right, so it's saying assertion error, 𝐒𝐓𝐻-test contact email not found in 𝐒𝐓𝐻𝐻-test contact email. So here it's saying, hey, this is the subject that I found, but instead you were trying to verify 𝐒𝐓𝐻-test contact email, which doesn't really match with what's over here. So that means it's successfully reading our subject line and our test is working or basically doing what it's supposed to do. So that's a good thing. We can do the same verification with let's say from and the email, HTML, and so on. But I will let you guys figure that out on your own. Perfect. So we have verified our email verification piece is working. So that is good part. And after that, we will go ahead and try to fetch that URL from our email body. So far, we have been getting in, let's say, this text message. What I want to do is maybe you have email verification that you need to do, right? Basically, user registers, you receive an email. You want to take that email and hit that URL to make sure that user gets successfully verified. Let's do that flow now. So in this case, I will go ahead and try to get that email or basically the URL which is added in that email. Now this one is a little bit complicated because we're going to have to fetch that URL and we need to use some kind of mechanism to be able to understand that whether we have a URL and what is that URL that is being formed. So in my case, if I go back to, let's say, Chrome, the email or the URL is formed with http://sdetunicorns.com/ verify true. And these are the query parameters that are added in. So I will just say, hey, if you see a URL that has sdetunicorns domain, then simply take that URL because you might have other URLs as well, right? For example, I have a URL right here for practice.sdetunicorns.com. I might have some other URLs as well as part of the email HTML body. So that's why we're going to be really specific on the email we want. So here I'm going to say I need the sdetunicorns.com email domain. So let's go ahead and create our own regex, which will go ahead and fetch this. So I'll go back to PyCharm. All right, so over here, we're going to go ahead and add in our regex mechanism, which I've already created so that we don't have to waste time going through this in this video. So what we will do is simply extract the URL from the email content. In my case, the URL pattern I'm using is HTTPS. Go with the sdetunicorns domain and just do .com on that. So as long as it finds this domain, https://sdetunicorns.com, it's going to go ahead and pick that URL. Once it will do that, as you can see right here, I'm doing regex.search for that URL pattern in the email.html. So specifically, I'm saying go to the email.html and try to do that regex search, which is going to be right here in my URL pattern. Now, once it will do this, if it receives a match, then we're going to say, hey, if it's a match, then simply grab the URL or basically pick up the URL that you're receiving as part of that. So you're saying simply receive that, you will get the extracted URL. Then from there, I can go ahead and simply open the extracted URL. So here I'm doing self.open that extracted URL. So you receive the URL, then you open the URL. Once your URL is opened up, then I can add in my assertions. So maybe in my case, let's say I want to verify the title of the page. So I can do something like self.assert title, and this should be my title for my web page. Now, this is totally optional. You can just do other things as well. Let's say if it doesn't find a match, then I want you to simply throw an error saying, hey, URL has not been found in the email content. Now, this is different ways of how you can implement this. Again, to quickly summarize, we went ahead and extracted the URL from the email content. This is the URL pattern that I'm using. In your case, it could be totally something else or some other kind of regex mechanism that you're using. But if it's a match, then it's totally up to you what you want to do. Maybe you simply want to verify that, yeah, it's a match, and you add an assertion that your test passed, or you might want to open the URL. In my case, I'm opening the URL and then I'm verifying the title of that page. However, if it's not a match, I want you to simply fail it, right? Now here we are using regex, so let's simply import regex at the top. So I'll just do import re, and this will go ahead and import my regex mechanism. Perfect. So this is our overall script that we have added in. Let's go ahead and try to run this to make sure whether we are able to fetch the URL and we are able to open that URL or not. So let me go ahead and run this again. So we're submitting the form. Now it should open up the SDET Unicorns website. If it has successfully found that, there you go. It just opened that up. And look at that, my test successfully passed right here. So you can see we have one passing right over here. So if you just notice, what happened is we went in and we verified, well, first of all, we filled in the form sent an email, right? We went to that email, we verified the subject, the content, as well as the from that email as well. Once we made sure that the email we have received, then we went ahead even one level deeper. We went and got the URL from that email, which can be used for, let's say, verification purposes. In this case, I used a regex mechanism to be able to fetch that. I'm saying, hey, if it's a match, open that URL. Once you open that, then it's totally up to you what you want to do. In my case, I verified the title. In your case, you can probably verify the text that received on that web page, such as, hey, email, this user has been successfully verified. For example, that could be one of the text. Now you can simply add in that assertion over here. I did the assertion for the title of the web page. However, if it doesn't find, it's going to fail this over here. Now, this whole logic is extremely conditional and depending on how you want to do it in your own organization and what is your business logic. Okay, so this is how you can go ahead and basically do your email verification using Selenium Python. Now I went through a bunch of code over here. Again, if you want to access the code, the link for that will be in the description below. So make sure you go ahead and click on that link, which will take you to a basic form. Simply submit that and you will get access to this code. So let's do a quick overview of what we covered in this video, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, now let's do a quick review on what we covered in this video. First, we kick things off by covering the prerequisites needed to write our script. We made sure that you had all the tools and libraries required to follow along. Next, we looked into setting up Gmail. I walked you through the process of generating an app password, which is a crucial step for securing connecting to Gmail's IMAP server. Then we got into the meat of this tutorial with a live demo. We used the IMAP tools library to read the latest unread emails from your inbox. And finally, we integrated this email reading method into our Selenium script. I showed you how to verify specific content from the email and even take action based on that content, like opening URLs. So I hope this guide has been helpful. As mentioned, the link for the code covered in this video will be in the description below. So make sure you check it out. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content on test automation.